Okay, so the final story is Bob. Bob and the sales meetings. And I'm sure you're asking yourself, why does he have lady, 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 man? Well, the answer is sexism. Yes, and diversity. It's important that ladies are recognized for being 300% better than their male counterparts. But that's a different story. You have to pay to get more of that. Okay, so Bob, the sales manager, is this. Within the sales world, as sales consultants, our job is speaking to sales managers about the productivity and how to get their salespeople being more productive and selling more. And so one of the first questions we always ask when we move into this type of coaching discussion is, what is the frequency of your meetings with your salespeople? Yeah? And you will get various different answers from various different places. So the story is this. We did a large sales training rollout with a large IT company. Yeah? And this IT company did a lot of sales training, and they implemented a CRM solution and CRM software. 10 years after implementing this software, they did an analysis of what did they continue using, what pieces of the software did they carry on using. The result was, from a software perspective, it was pretty clear what they were using. The surprising result was that when being asked what was the most important part of the process, the number one answer was the Monday morning call. So on Monday mornings, every single sales manager is obliged by the organization to have a call with each of their salespeople, either on the telephone or face-to-face. There is a structure for the call. It either lasts between 10 and 15 minutes, and the content is always the same. What are your top 3 opportunities? What are your bottom 3 opportunities? And what is your action plan? The content is recommended that it never changes. That's the only content of the call. The process, or the effect of this is the following. Every salesperson knows that on Monday morning, the first thing that they need to do is convince their manager that they've got a good plan for the week. This increases the amount of meetings that they will have with customers because they need to prove to their manager that they've got a lot of meetings planned. Another very clear outcome of this process is that the managers themselves have a regular touch base with their salespeople. So, back to the story of Bob, walking into this chap, and he's got 30 salespeople directly reporting to him. He used to have 12, but then one of the other guys left. All of a sudden, he's got 30. And we were saying, what is the frequency of your calls? And he says what a lot of sales managers say, which is, I meet them on an ad hoc basis. I speak to them when I need to. I don't speak to the good ones very often. I speak to the bad ones more often, etc. Yeah? So no structure and no principle behind it. So what we did was we implemented this call structure so that on Monday mornings and Tuesday mornings he would speak to all of the sales reps for 10 minutes. This killed his Monday and Tuesday morning. He wasn't able to travel anymore based on these calls. And again, in the first week, everybody hated it because they felt they were being controlled. In the second week, they hated it as well. But 2 months afterwards, so 8 weeks after this process has begun, the majority, at least 95% of the salespeople are saying, at last we have a manager who has some structure. The manager themselves are saying, I actually need to speak to my salespeople less because we cover a lot of ground in this small regular meeting on the Monday morning. So, this principle is not new. Yeah, the sales, it's called a cadence call structure. It's called the sales manager's meeting structure. And this has been going on in various companies for years and years and years. What's interesting about the story is that it is an agile story. It is an agility mechanism. It is a frequency model. The sales manager creates a frequency model, which means that their connection to their salespeople is kept at an optimal level all of the time. They have a touch base at least once a week. And the first meeting creates other meetings, ad hoc meetings, that take place during the week. So they increase the amount of conversations that they have with their internal customer, which is their salesperson, and they decrease the quantity of time that is necessary for that meeting to take place. Again, the focus of the structure is on the actual dynamic of the meeting itself, and the time, the duration, and the frequency, and the fact that it always takes place at a particular time. This is agile. Agile is not an unstructured approach. Good agile thinking is very structured. It is taking things that you've done in the past and rethinking them into a more systematic and a way where you decrease the duration and increase the quantity.